All right, guys, we are back with another Bat Rep. This time I do not have Bob, I have my good friend Patrick instead. So thank you, Patrick, for joining us. So here we are, we're going to be facing off, as it says on the tin, Black Templars versus Aeldari. This is my first game with the new mission pack, so really excited about that. Can't wait to see how it holds up and see how I do against some filthy Xenos Eldar. So, all right, and as you can see, we are doing the mission O, which is Crucible of Battle Deployment Zone, along with Terraform as the primary mission. So let's take a look at the forces that will be arrayed against each other. I will start off here. So I've got two squads of sword bros, one led by High Marshal Hubert, with a lieutenant with Power Fist and Perdition's Edge. Second, led by the Emperor's Champion. They will both be riding in the Black Templars Impulsors that I have right here. I have a 5-man squad of Intercessors. I have 2 squads of Scouts, 2 squads of 5-man Jump Pack Assault Intercessors. I have 2 Primaris Crusader squads and 2 Dreadnoughts, and then a 10-man Vanguard Vet squad led by a Chaplain with a Jump Pack and a Power Fist. So yes, you heard that right. I'm running Vanguard Vets. Are they good again? They just got a huge points drop, so we're going to find out if they're as good as they seem to be for only 30 points more than 10-man Assault Intercessors. We will see. We're going to give them a try. And see how they do. It might be time to let Vanguard Vets into your heart again. So let's take a look at the enemy. What you got, Patrick?
All right, guys. Longtime Xenos player Patrick Martin here. Pretty new on the Eldar train, and really trying to figure out a new list after the new points adjustment that went into effect this month. Um, and for this list today, I am shamelessly borrowing friend Z Martin's Eldari Guardian Host detachment list. Um, Guardian Battle Host is a Eldar detachment that allows Guardian units to get benefits when they are on an objective or fighting against enemies who are on an objective, giving them a +1 to hit. Um, in my army, I have spammed Guardians to the wazoo. I've got 4 units of 10 Storm Guardians. They are equipped with flamers, meltaguns, power swords, and the Serpent Scale pattern platform. Um, and that gives them a 5-up invul save. 2 of them will be led by Farseers, one regular Farseer on foot, and the other Eldrad Uthran, who will be um, the leader of the army today. Um, by being led, they get a -1 to be wounded built in, which is a really cool ability on T3 bodies with a 5-up invul save. Um, and then we'll have 2 just by themselves. I'm also, as far as other psychers, I'm going to be having 4 Warlock in the Warlock Conclave, which have some nasty flamers that stack, um, and they also have some nice melee attacks. I will also have 2 Warwalkers with Bright Lances, 3 Wraith Lords with 2 Bright Lances, Flamers, and Ghost Glaives, and 2 units of 5 Howling Banshees with Exarchs with the Executioner, which is the nice damage 3 anti-infantry attack, and they'll be led by an Altarch and Janzar, respectively. These are really great counters to Black Templar melee pressure because they have fights first, anti-infantry 3-up, and damage 2. And they hit on 2s, have a 4-up invul save in close combat. Janzar gives them the ability to auto-advance 6 inches, um, and the Altarch will have a relic that allows 2 Guardian units to infiltrate, making the army able to get around the board faster. I'll also have 2 units of Sweeping Hawks and Deep Strike. They'll give me some mortal wound output and some just Deep Strike action monkeys as well. And then we'll have 1 unit of Fire Dragons in strategic reserves. Maybe pop a tank if he exposes it. Um, as far as stratagems, the Guardian Battle Host has some really cool ones. The big ones are I can reroll wound rolls when my enemy is on an objective. If I'm attacking with Guardian units, I can auto advance 6 inches with Storm Guardians and charge and shoot as normal. And there's a couple other ones, but the other one that might pop up is if if Alex fails to kill a unit at the end of his fight phase, if my unit is not engaged, I can return them to strategic reserves and regenerate all of the guardians in the unit. So when they come back in my turn, they will be a full unit.
That's
That's
pretty
it.
gross.
It's pretty gross. So you better kill my units. Um,
I hopefully intend to. All right.
um, yeah.
So those are the forces, guys. So we are going to get to rolling off for deployment and first turn and all that jazz, and we'll be back after deployment to kind of go over where we deployed and a bit why what we did. So we'll be back shortly. All right, guys, here we are after deployment. So I won the roll off to be the defender. So naturally, I decided to drop first because Patrick has some sneaky Eldar tricks up his sleeve with infiltrating guardians, and I did not want him to be all up in my business on turn one. So I've got my 2 scouts you can see here deployed up, and to help protect the rest of my force a little bit if need be. And then I've got my first Crusader squad right here, ready to scout themselves if they need to into this ruin. The Vanguard vets are safely behind the ruin as well. I've got my intercessors over here on the objective, ready to sticky it after the command phase of the first turn. My 2 ballistas right here, his warwalkers are very speedy with their scout move and all that business, so I wanted to make sure they were protected from a turn 1 volley, which could potentially take them out, which would not be good for me. And then I've got my 2 impulsors, also hidden behind terrain, and then my last Crusader squad over here, also safely behind the terrain. So that is my deployment. Patrick, what was your deployment plan?
Hey, guys. So I nominated 2 units to infiltrate based on my relic. So I picked first after Alex went to this objective. So my original plan was actually to put a unit here because it would be quite protected. So this is actually my ideal target for that infiltrate um, because it's like the most protected, but also I'm able to get out the most into the board. Um, but since he went here first, I decided to go here in the middle with the basic Guardian squad. So that pushes him off of these 2 objectives in the center. And I 1 inch this wall, so if he wants to charge this unit, he will have to commit quite a lot. I've also put in counter charge units with the Howling Banshees here, the Warlock Wraithlord here, and then I put my Warwalkers here as like extending out my deployment so that because they have Scout 9, depending on who wins the roll off, I can either make a big push up here and push him back a little bit, put some speed bumps in, or I can pull back or give myself cover, things like that. I put this other unit here with infiltrate, even though they're only infiltrating a little outside of my deployment zone. I still wanted to keep them safe. And I did angle them so if I do want to go hard the first turn with the first turn roll, I am in range to do my full advance and token to flame these scout squads with my warlocks turn 1, which could give me some good board presence and also allow me to kill some of his good scoring units. My other units are just wrapped. So my Wraith Lord, they're within range of my Seeker units, so that they get the bonus to hit. Um, and they're within, and they've picked infantry as the keyword, in which they will get rerolls to hit and wound of 1. That's it. Let's see who gets first roll off, and I'll push it back to Alex.
All right. Well, we will be right back after roll off our first turn and the first movement phase of the game. All right, guys. So here we are at the end of my movement phase. I was a little cagey in some areas and a little aggressive in others. So let's start out with the aggressive. I moved these Crusader squad up here into the center because, well, let's talk about my secondaries first of all. So I drew Area Denial and Bring It Down. In order to score Area Denial, I just got to put myself out there, but because he was cagey with his deployment, he's not within 6, which means I will get the 5 points. So to me, worth it. They are also going to terraform this. That's why we turned it blue. The scouts over here are also going to terraform that one. So note a change this time. When you terraform an objective, it can be taken and terraformed back to your opponent's side. I like that. It's a nice change in that mission rule, in my opinion, because otherwise it just rewarded fast armies, right? So almost certainly these guys are going to die because literally anything in his army could probably charge me on turn 1 from there. So, I'm going to score some points out of it. It is what it is. So I moved my Van Vets up in here. They will be there. It's a nice countercharge unit to whatever comes to kill them. These scouts ran away like Monty Python from the White Rabbit because I don't want to get charged. I want to put them in reserves at the end of his turn, hopefully. These scouts also moved up to terraform this, as I said. They may or may not survive, so we'll find out there. I did move these guys a little bit just to sort of fill in there. And then the Impulsor moved up, and I moved my Intercessors off of this objective because it is stickied. So they're going to go do Intercessor things here soon, because eventually these guys are going to move off from behind there. That's what I mean by a little cagey. I didn't want to get shot or blown off the board or charged turn 1 from his stuff. This Ballistus right here has a nice angle to see that Warwalker. So hopefully we will score Bring It Down for that as well. I did make these Banshees over here my Oath target because the Ballistus already has rerolls into this Warwalker. So that is my first turn movement. So we'll check back in after we've done a bit of shooting, perhaps at the end of the turn, just depending on how it goes. And we'll be back shortly. All right, so I did just a bit of shooting, pretty much just a Ballistus. And I did manage to pop the, the Warwalker, just barely. So I got one through on the Ballistus, or the las cannon. It did a grand total of like 3 damage or something, and then I managed to get 1 through on the Kraken. It did 4 damage, so pretty much just more than enough. So yeah. So now Patrick elected not to put anything in strategic reserves with his strat that can do so, and we are now on to his command phase. So we'll check back in after he's done some moving. All right, so here we are at the bottom of Patrick's turn. You may have noticed we kind of skipped over more than we usually do, but there wasn't a whole lot of shooting or meleeing, so I'll let Patrick go over his movement and then what he shot and killed, if it's not already obvious. There's a hole in the center of my board. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hey guys, so my main goal with this turn was to move up and deal with a couple of threats. The main one being this Crusader squad in the center. So in order to deal with them, I first doomed them with Eldrad by moving him up, getting 18-inch on the center, dooming him. and then I moved in line of sight this Wraith Lord, and moved back this Warwalker so that I could stack a fun buff, which is by the Warwalker being on the home objective, he gets +1 to hit. Um, so he hits on 2 with his last cannons. Once the Warwalker hits the unit, um, everything else in the army gets +1 AP. So that means that then the Wraith Lords with their -4 AP last cannons just pick up models, and then the Banshees here, I yeeted them up the field with a nice move, 16. Yeah, that's fun to do with tokens and re-rolling advances.
Just
I
normal
fished,
Eldar things.
yeah, just normal Eldar stuff. So I moved them up, and then their pistols then became strength. Uh, +1 to wound, strength 4 pistols with AP2, and I used grenade because the Altarch has the grenade keyword for a fun 4 mortal wounds, um, and beamed someone with the fusion gun before then charging and finishing off the squad. Um, Obviously, this Banshee squad is quite exposed now, but I cleared the center off and prevented him from getting an extra good bit of primary, um, at least for this turn. I also moved up these Storm Guardians with the Flamers over here, and then they did the action, so I started terraforming here, and I got some OC. I'm also screening back 9 inches to the corner with this squad and this squad, so if he does want to come in next turn from Deep Strike, it's going to be outside of my deployment zone. Um, and for points, I didn't score a lot, but I did establish locus, and I got 1, which is strange to say. I got 1 on engage on all fronts, giving me 1 point +2 from establishing in the center to get 3. And this is actually a strategy, which is by getting 1 point instead of 2 points on engage, I'm actually giving myself the option to get a challenger card next turn
Ooh.
to score 3 points
So we
instead
will.
of that extra 1 point.
Yep, that's smart. So we will see what happens with that
See what
challenger
happens.
card next turn. So yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back after my movement phase. All right, guys. So here we are after my movement phase. So quite a bit of moving this time. I moved the Vanguard vets up. For my secondaries, I drew engage on all fronts and no prisoners. So I want to kill things, which is what I want to kill anyway, because I want to kill Eldar. Stinky Xenos. Anyway, so yes, move the Vanguard vets up. Um, and then I also advanced my my Crusader squad over here to get more bodies on this objective so that he can't easily take it from me with his Storm Guardians over here. The scouts are hanging tight. I got my Black Templar Impulsor here with the Emperor's Champion squad in it. They are also peeking out here to do some shooting on those Howling Banshees. And then I moved up Helbrick's Impulsor here. Kind of got blocked in by my Ballistus, which was a bit of a mistake there, but I didn't have much more movement to get any farther anyway, so not a huge deal. The Ballistus has some nice line to that Warwalker or the Wraith Lord, and then I spread out my intercessors over here, and yeah, so that's about it. Alright guys, so here we are after my shooting phase. Not a ton happened. I did do a fair amount of shooting. I shot firing deck, impulsor, everything into the Banshees and the Autarch. Once again, the Multi-Melta did nothing because, that's what it does, seemingly for me. So, however, I did whittle everything down to just the Autarch on 2 wounds, and fortunately my Scout's crack missile finished him off. So yeah, The ballistas over here tried to shoot at the Warwalker and did absolutely nothing. Once again, disappointing there. But now on to the charge phase where my Vanguard vets are ready to do some damage. So let's go. All right, guys. So we are now finished with the fight phase at the end of my turn. As you can see over here, the Vanguard vets demolished, as expected they would, a unit of Storm Guardians. I think they did like 30-something wounds, but we expected them to kill them. That's not a surprise or anything like that. I had thought about originally going into this Wraith Lord that I had tossed some grenades at, but that would have put me danger close, especially given that I rolled a 10. That would have potentially put these Banshees in range to heroically intervene. Not something I want to happen while I'm trying to clear off his Storm Guardians. So he did use a strat to shoot back at me with the Warwalker, and he plinked off a guy when doing so. So that's the end of my turn. At the end of my turn, Patrick used a strat to pull his Storm Guardians over here. And I scored max no prisoners and 2 points on engage in all fronts. So we will move on to the the bottom of turn 2 for Patrick's movement phase. So we'll be back shortly.
So start of my round 2, I drew the Challenger card, brutal burst of speed or focused effort, which means if models in 2 or more units made 1 or more attacks in the same enemy, that models, and you lose wounds, then you get 3 VP for the Challenger mission, or I can use an extra normal move after making a shooting attack, which is kind of cool. I drew Display of Might and Bring It Down. Since he has less units in the center of the battlefield, this is a good secondary for me. Bring It Down is less of a good secondary for me because he only has a couple of vehicles that are pretty far away still. So we'll see what happens. I scored 9 for primary, and we will go into shooting phase now. You can see that I moved around the unit that came in from Strat Reserve, and then I moved around the unit that to put a lot of pressure on these Van Vets, and I also pulled in the Swooping Ox to screen out this side of the board, and I moved up the Storm Guardians and did Terraform on the center, and drew some lines on this impulsor here with the different Wraith Lords and the Warwalker, so I should be able to get ignore cover, -1 AP, and quite a few hits on that in this phase. And I'm going to try to kill this the Impulsor and these Van Vets pretty handedly between the Banshees and the different Guardian units, while the Warwalkers and Wraith Lords take out the Impulsor. All right, let's see what happens.
All right.
All right, so at the end of my turn, I went out and actioned here, so I got another Terraform brewing. I moved up my Warwalkers, Wraith Lord, and Eldrad, so we could then Doom, Guide, kill the Vanguard Vets. All the things, because the combination of the Warlocks, the Banshees, and all the Guardians shooting at the Vanguard Vets evaporated them. And then the combination fire from the Warwalkers, Wraith Lords, killed the Impulsor and brought down a Sword Bro. And we moved around. Unfortunately, you were able to disembark to deny me a secondary card, so we've discarded that one. But I was able to complete my um, challenger card for 3 points.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah, I made a mistake. Well, I mean, maybe it was a mistake, maybe not. With the Van Vets, I probably should have used Fervent Acclamation to give them the Uphold the Honor, or the Feel No Pain. I might have had some more guys survive, which may have made it worth it to, when the Howling Banshees charged in, to then Vicious Riposte them to try to kill them back, because I almost certainly would have killed several on the crackbacks. And it would have been at a 3+ instead of a 4+. But unfortunately, they just died to mostly shooting. However, it did take multiple of your units in order to bring them down. So at least they didn't really kill a lot, obviously, this game, but they certainly absorbed a lot of firepower. So,
absolutely.
all right, well, let's see what happens in my movement phase. All right, so here we are after my movement phase. So I've got my jump pack intercessors moved out onto this objective here. My impulsor advanced up to get into position to help with the middle right side of the board. I deep struck my other jump pack assault intercessors right here, so they can support the middle of the board as well. My Crusader squad backed up a little bit because he does have a Banshee unit right here. And even though they probably could still charge him, I just wanted to make it a little bit more difficult for him if possible. Fortunately, that also opened up a spot for him to put his fire dragons right here. But, they we'll have to see. They'll probably take out this Ballistus on his turn, but we will see what happens there. And then I remain spread out back here as best I can. My scouts move back here and to protect my deployment zone a little bit. So that's kind of our board state here. I move my sword bros up to get in position, so we're getting ready to start the shooting phase of my turn 3. All right, so pretty quick shooting and fight phase. I blew the Wraith Lord, who was over here, off the board with my Ballistus. I did damage this one. It's now at 6 wounds instead of 10. But a lot of whiffing from my Ballistus Dreadnoughts on the wound roll, and a lot of ones that I'm rolling here. So not very good shooting from them. I did use my pistols and whatnot to whittle down the Guardians unit that was here between my Sword Bros and my Crusader squad over there. And then I charged in and finished them off with the Sword Brethren. So that is the end of my turn 3. I scored the Display of Might and 3 points on my Recover Assets. So we'll turn it now over to Patrick.
Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna take these guys off the field at the end of your turn.
Yep, okay, sounds good.
Yep. Okay. So in this turn, I drew. Let's see. I got my challenger card, which is get extra CP for VP for each objective I control at the end of my turn. And then I got storm hostile objectives, so I'm going to go after his objectives in the center. And secure no man's land, which also tells me to take objectives in no man's land. So this is going to be my go turn, and I'm going to go full in. I only got 5 on primary this turn, so I'm a little bit behind, actually quite a lot behind on primary score. I took my Guardians off last turn, and I redeployed them here. They were able to use their flamers to kill this Assault Intercessor squad on this objective. And then I combined fire to kill off the Sword Brethren in the center. The single Warwalker was able to take out the Ballistus in 2 shots. So my Fire Dragons were then able to then deviate fire to kill a couple of Crusaders as well. And now I've made charges with my Wraith Lord and made charges with my uh, Howling Banshees down here to try to clear him off of these two remaining objectives. Um, but yeah, that's where I ended up after my shooting phase.
And the Emperor's
Alright.
champion currently lives on 1 wound, so we'll see what happens in the ensuing fight phase.
Yes.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Um, so end of round 3, I was able to kill in combat with the Banshees this unit of Crusaders, and in combat this um, Emperor's Champion, not with the Wraith Lord with all of his attacks, but
Yep,
with the Storm Guardians because he made 8 4-up invul saves.
yep. And I called it. Patrick's like, okay, so that's 8 saves on your invul. I'm like, I'm gonna roll all 4 ups. It's okay. I click the button. Boom. That's what you see.
Yep.
But
So
meanwhile, he was busy defending the Storm Guardians. Oh, you know what? You're gonna have to roll your other Storm Guardian attacks because I blanked the 1 save he failed on them.
oh, okay. Well, he only failed 1.
Yeah, it was 1-3.
Okay, and then all right, I'll do that in a second. So 20 on 2s, winning on 3s. Take 6 more at -1.
That -1.
Yeah.
All right. No,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Cool.
so the Storm Guardians had to finish him off.
Yeah.
But yeah, eight saves on his invul. The Emperor did protect him while he was too busy parrying the Wraith Lord. The Storm Guardians poked him to death with 2 failed saves. So,
Good times.
yep. In any case, also your Banshees and your Banshees over here finished off my Crusader squad. I
Oh,
did.
and these hawks did not shoot, so they're going to do the action.
Okay. Yep. So they're gonna terraform.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, but I did do Vicious Riposte over here against these Banshees, and in a horrific display of bad rolling, unlike the Emperor's Champion, I rolled like, I don't know, six 2s and a couple 1s on 15 attacks, chainsword attacks that were coming back. So yeah, they still live, barely, but yeah. So that is the end of turn 3. So we move now on to turn 4. All right, so it is the top of my turn 4. Let's take a quick look at my secondaries. I drew Establish Locus. So I gotta ideally do something in my opponent's deployment zone. And Secure No Man's Land. So control 2 or more objective markers in No Man's Land. So this is just as Patrick said. This was turn 3. Bottom of turn 3 was his go turn. This has got to be my go turn because I don't have many units left on the board after he very unkindly obliterated everything in the middle of the table on his turn. Not very nice of you, Patrick. So
I try. Yeah.
So in any case, I disembarked the Hellbro squad and moved them up. You'll notice all this pink auras over here. This is Patrick's death squad of warlocks with their absurd flamers that are crazy. So I wanted to make sure I was not in Overwatch range with Hellbrick's squad because those things probably, if I had been, probably would have wiped out my Hellbrick squad or whittled them down so heavily that I would not be able to do them effectively, which is what I want. However, I did brazenly move my Impulsor over here. Then in here, I moved my Intercessors into position to hopefully take this objective. over on this side of the board, I moved my intercessors so that I would be able to unload and hopefully finish off these banshees. And I got my scouts out in position as well, so they can shoot and maybe charge these fire dragons. Lastly, I have my ballistas right here. Maybe he can finally finish off this Wraith Lord. We'll see how well I roll there. And then I deployed my scouts in this nice little convenient pocket right here so that I can do establish locus in his deployment zone and score max points on that. So that is my movement phase. Let's dive into some shooting. All right, so I did a lot of shooting. The ballistas whiffed yet again into this Wraith Lord. The Guardians here took some shots and then ran away like cowards. I whittled down the Swooping Hawks a little bit. Completely missed the multi-melta into the Wraith Lord. Killed a couple guys over here. I shot everything from the scouts and the intercessors into the banshees, and stupid Jane Czar is living on 1 wound, which is really unfortunate. So, yeah. So we're going to move on from that and hopefully have a better fight phase. So we'll check back when that's done. All right, so Helbrecht and friends cleaned up over here as I expected. I also charged with the Impulsor to try and keep them from just hosing down Helbrecht with their flamers on his turn. Was successful in that endeavor. Unfortunately, I was not successful in here. I kind of flubbed my attacks, and also the Wraith Lord being alive didn't help my cause after the shooting phase, because he has a lot of attacks and he just cleaned up the squad. So sadly, I was not able to really do much of anything except just leave Eldrad stranded there by himself, where hopefully next turn I will, if this thing is still alive, blast him off the board out of spite. I'll probably actually shoot the Wraith Lord, but it would be fun to shoot Eldrad off the board. In any case, that is my turn, and we'll be moving on to Patrick's turn.
Okay. So this turn I moved up with the, so for my secondaries, we saw that I had recover assets and extend battle lines. So I needed to control my home and control things in the center and do recover assets in the different sections of the board. I was fortunate enough to pull in 14 primary this turn because we have 2 terraform objectives, and I controlled 3 objectives at the beginning of my turn, the one in the center and these 2 others. I've yet to terraform the last objective, but I was really fortunate to draw this awesome challenger card called Attrition. So I used the pivotal moment strategic play to fall back and shoot.
Literally, it was a pivotal moment.
The one thing that he didn't want my Guardians to do.
Mm-hmm. And I failed my no retreat roll, so he was able to fall back and lost, 5 guys on desperate escape. But it matters not because the stupid warlocks.
Sword Bros are gone.
Yeah.
It was able to. I was able to then guide Doom this squad and then stack the an additional AP on the squad from the Warwalker. All my shooting left Helbrecht on 2 wounds. Since he has tied OC with my Storm Guardians, I just allowed him to live instead of charging him and potentially losing the squad. So,
fight me.
We left it there. There's no real reason to fight you.
There's always a reason. Honor. But the Xenos have no honor.
Make a charge with Jane Czar after re-rolling my 6-inch charge to kill 3 more intercessors over here, and the fire dragons just shot and killed a couple scouts. They probably should have just terraformed, but I thought it was maybe be fun to do some shooting.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anyway,
Well,
that leads us into Alex's last round.
yeah, top 5. We'll
Yeah.
be right back with a recap. All right, so here we are at the end of the game. We kind of just mostly talked out a little bit, rolled a couple of dice for the 5th turn because there really wasn't much I could do. I drew um, extend battle lines, and I forget the other one, but I spent a CP and discarded it because it wasn't really plausible. Oh, it was the stronghold, defend stronghold. You're the one that doesn't complete until his turn, and I only get 3 points for that. So I canned that one and drew assassination instead. So I killed Jane Czar. I got 9 points. I ended at 77. But because Patrick just has way more units still alive than I do, he was easily able to outscore me on primary on the last turn, as well as get like 8 points on no prisoners, or excuse me, no prisoners and overwhelming force. So final score: Patrick 90, me 77. Albert, the Eldar just, in my opinion, they do way too much damage as far as what I can combat, and they literally like pretty much just at will picked up a unit whenever he wanted to. Especially that Flamer Warlock thing was really gross. I think I did the best I could in trying to avoid it. You getting that card really helped, because otherwise,
Yeah, that was
think...
a very helpful draw. I think one of the things you could have done to be a little more aggressive was maybe put out your shooting intercessors, because Eldar, unlike most armies, they actually their their Achilles heel is getting shot with bolters. So if you had put some of those bolter shots into my big Guardian units, that could have been helpful
Yeah,
earlier on.
yeah.
Um,
I
Instead of
definitely need to
sitting
be
in
more
the backfield.
aggressive with the intercessors.
Also, if
And
you had just rushed me, I think if you had just gone full Unga Bunga and just thrown everything at me, Eldar really good at killing one big threat a turn, and you kind of just fed me one big threat unit every turn. But if you had given me waited and then given me 3 big threat units in one turn, I would not have been able to deal with it.
good advice. Good advice.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've played against New Eldar, too, so new experience for me. I played against them, I think, previously with their index, but never with their codex. So definitely new experience for me. I was, I guess, a little too afraid of the damage output that you had on a lot of your stuff, especially like the 2 units of Banshees, the Flamer Warlocks, all the Bright Lances and Warwalkers and everything. So yeah, so I definitely, in general, need to be more aggressive with my intercessors and put them in a place where I can use them to shoot, and leave something else in the backfield to kind of guard from deep strike. That was part of why I left them back there, was to guard from deep strike, which honestly, putting scouts back there probably would have been a better solution.
I think it would have been better efficiency because the scouts don't really do much to me,
Right.
whereas your intercessors can actually compete with me on objective control, and
Yeah.
they can also
And they
put
shoot.
down a lot of shots.
Yeah, they put down a
They
lot of
can kill
shots from
they can kill
24
most
inches
of my
away.
units. Yeah, they can kill most of
Yeah.
my units in one shooting phase.
Yeah.
Even the tanks, it's surprising how much they can do to a Warwalker, even with just bolters, because they're only 6 wounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe playing them a little bit more out. Um, Try not to take the bait so much. I put stuff out and like it was like you could counter it, but like I got way more in the clapback by
Yeah.
like you dedicating it to like go for it. Like if you present me with 2 sword bro squads at the same time, it's a lot harder for me to deal with it.
Yeah.
But you just gave me one at a time, so
Yep.
it was helpful. It was helpful for me as a defending player.
Yeah.
But yeah, your stuff hits hard when it hits. Um, like your sword bros kill all my stuff as soon as they hit,
I mean,
or at
that's
least
their
they
job.
should.
That's
Yeah,
their
they
job.
do. They hit really hard. But it's the same thing when you play against like World Eaters. You know, you try to trade up. Um,
Yeah.
they put that they're gonna kill it,
Yeah.
but you want to trade up a little bit. That's where I was also like when you were killing my Guardian squads, putting lanes so that my Warwalkers could shoot back at your Sword Bros. Because on average I kill at least one Sword Bro just for a strat. So
Yeah.
it's not bad for me to just like plink off Sword Bros. Um, in a different phase because I have last cannons, so I only get so many shots a turn to kill like damage 3 guys. So it helped me with the math of like killing more of those. So I was able to like knock down the units faster because you gave me that I think twice. Because you killed a guardian unit and then I was able to shoot at it and get some kills.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
definitely. The other thing, I was testing out Vanguard vets. I think they're pretty decent. Um, that unit is 190 points plus the chaplain, who's I think 75 plus the enhancement is 95. So 285 for that unit, and they hit tremendously hard. Obviously, they didn't really attack much this game, and had I put them in uphold um, as a fervent acclamation, I think they would have lived longer with a feel no pain. But I'll definitely try them again because I think, to Patrick's points, if I had been more aggressive, put both impulsors out with the sword bro units and the van vets all at once, then he may not have been able to deal with all that effectively, and I would have had more success with clearing stuff.
yeah, if you kill like two of my guardian units in one turn, it's really hard for me to come back.
Yeah,
But you killed basically one a turn
yeah,
on average. So I was able to like kind of like fall back and counterpunch.
yeah.
Um, and like you got a little unlucky with the killing the Wraith Lords, I think.
The ballistas just completely whiffed. Like
Yeah.
they had like a couple. There was like one round where like one of them shot a couple things off the board. I killed a Warwalker and a Wraith Lord, and then they just whiffed the rest of the game. Um,
Yeah.
the
It's rough.
multi melta on the Impulsor did absolutely nothing. I didn't score a single wound. Garbage. Not worth 10 points at all. I've been saying this for a long time. Yeah, so it's an annoyance. I have to pay 10 points for something that does nothing.
Actually, my worst performing unit was the Fire Dragons because all they killed the entire game was
With
two
two scouts.
two scouts. They lined up everything perfectly, and the Warwalkers stole their thunder. So
Yes.
they were just like, I guess we just
Yeah,
we're infantry now,
I guess,
kill
yeah.
infantry.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So
in any case, good game, Patrick. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on, letting us do this recording. Always helpful. People like to see bat reps, and good to get some different players on here as well. So we'll have to do it again sometime.
all right, thanks, Alex.
Yep.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.